Hello children, let us continue the 5 marks questions of last episode which we have stopped till third question. So, let us now continue again. Fourth question is give an account of the properties of soil. All in this lesson we have all 5 marks questions. So, please read, each one is a 5 marks question. So, here the first one is properties of soil are texture of the soil. So, the soil texture is determined by the size of the soil particles. So, the bigger the size, the porous the organisms, that is the soil's particles will be there, and it is very porous, so it cannot hold more water. So, the types of soil include sand, silt and clay on the basis of their different sizes. And second point is porosity. Porosity means that is a space between the soil particles in a given volume of soil are called as pores or pore spaces, and the percentage of the soil volume is occupied by pore space or by the interstitial spaces, and it is called as the porosity of the soil. So, it is nothing but the space between each soil particles, between two particles, the space between that is called as porosity. Then third one, permeability of the soil. So, the characteristic of the soil determined by its movement of water through the pore spaces is known as soil permeability. That means how it allows the penetration of water inside the soil. So, based on that it is called as the permeability of the soil. So, soil permeability is directly dependent on the pore size. So, if the pore size is more, then the water can freely flow through the soil. If the pore size is very less, that means if the soil particles are very tightly bound, then the porosity of the soil is very less. So, water holding capacity of the soil is inversely dependent on the soil porosity. Then fourth one is soil temperature. So, soil gets its heat energy from solar radiation, decomposing organic matter and heat from the interior of the earth. So, soil temperature affects the germination of seeds, growth of roots and also biological activity of the soil inhabiting, that is the micro and the macro organisms. Then fifth one is soil water. So, in soil, water is not only important as a solvent, and it is also used as a transporting agent. That means it will allow the maintenance of the soil's texture, arrangement and compactness of the soil particles and making soil habitable for plants and animals. That means it will allow the organisms to live in the soil. So, that is called as the habitable for plants and animals. Then fifth question, differentiate between tundra and taiga biomes. So, you have to differentiate them. So, the tundra biomes, if you see, it extends beyond the Arctic and Antarctic circles, that is from 66.6 degrees to the poles, that is the 90 degrees. So, that is the range where the tundra biomes can be seen. And if you go to the taiga biomes, it extends from the subpolar belt to the North America and Eurasia. So, Eurasia means Europe plus Asia, that is called as Eurasia, and it is from 550 to 66.5 degrees north. So, that is the range where you can find the taiga biomes. And second one is the winters are very long and severe and summers are very short and warm. And whereas in taiga biomes, the winters are long and cold and summers are short and warm. And the third point is precipitation is less than 250 mm per year, and in precipitation is ranging from 380 to 1000 mm per annually. Year or annually, both are same. And fourth one, this is the almost treeless plain in the northern parts of the Asia, Europe and North America. Treeless plain means there are no trees in that part. So, that is the thing, that is the tundra biomes. And taiga biome is a forest where coniferous trees such as spruce, fir and pine are there. So, these are some of the plants what you can see in the taiga biomes. And fifth one, reindeer, Arctic hare, musk ox, lemmings, ducks and geese. These are some of the organisms which we can see in the tundra biomes. And taiga biomes, if you see, they are moose, elk, deer and reindeer and timber wolf, grizzly bear and black bear, bobcat. So, these are some of the organisms which you can see in the taiga biomes. Then sixth question, list the adaptations in terrestrial animals. So, if you take the adaptations of terrestrial animals, so earthworms and land planarians secrete a mucus coating to maintain a moist situation. That means they are in the terrestrial animals means land animals. So, usually where you see the earthworms, they are in the soil, and land planarians all they secrete a mucus coating on their body so that they maintain the temperature cool. If the soil is heated, they secrete some mucus coating so that they can make their body very cool. And second one is arthropods. They have an external covering over the respiratory surfaces and well developed tracheal systems. They have a well developed tracheal system. Tracheal system means they can respirate properly. And third point is in invertebrate skin, there are many cellular layers besides the well protected respiratory surfaces that help in preventing loss of water. So, because they have respiratory surfaces means they have layers of that is plural layers on the respiratory organs, so which can prevent the water loss. And fourth point is some animals obtain their water requirement from food as a partial replacement of water through excretion. That means through urine they will be losing their water. So, that can be again taken up by the food. Then fifth one, birds make nests and breed before the rainy season as there is availability of abundant food. And but during drought birds rarely reproduce. And sixth point is camels are able to regulate water effectively for evaporative cooling through the skin and respiratory system and excrete highly concentrated urine, and can also withstand dehydration up to 25% of their body weight. So, these are the adaptations made by the camel, that is they can regulate water without evaporating and cooling their skin, and they also excrete very highly concentrated urine. That means they reabsorb the water in their from their kidneys during the urination, and also they can withstand dehydration. That means they can go for many days without water, and that is dehydration is 25% of their body weight. So, that is how they can support their body conditions with the growing, and that is the hot environment where they are living. So, these are the adaptations of the camels. Then seventh one, list out the characters of grassland biomes. So, grassland occurs in the temperate and the tropical regions, and they have hot summers, cold winters and irregular rainfall. So, the rainfall is not proper in that one. So, often they are characterized by high winds, and the low irregular rainfall is the character of which makes the difference between a temperate deciduous forest and a temperate grassland. Next, fifth point, the herbivores are like antelopes, bison, wild horse, jackrabbit, ground squirrel and prairie dogs are abundant in this place. And if you see what are the predators which are living here are coyotes, fox, hawks and snakes. And in India, if you see, the fauna of grasslands includes elephants, gaur and rhino and antelopes, and flora of grasslands include purple needle grasses, then wild oats, foxtail, ryegrass and buffalo grass. So, these are some of the grass types which are there in the terrestrial climate. Then eighth question, what are the characteristic features of alpine biomes? So, if you take the characteristics, first where the alpine zone is there, that we have to see. So, if you see the alpine zone, it includes a sub-snow zone and immediately below the snow zone. That means, first you have the snow zone and below that you have the sub-snow zone, and below that you will have a meadow zone which is in the center, and after that you have the shrub zone, and which is gradually emerging into a timber zone. Timber zone means most of the plants, higher trees, angiosperms which are there, they will be living in that place. So, these are the main source of timber, that is why we call them as timber zone. And the second point what you have to write is alpine zone exists at a height of 3600 meters, and the zone above the limit of the tree's growth is called as timberline, which exhibits extreme environmental condition which greatly influences the biota of this region. So, you will be having, that is the zone of this is there is a limit for the growth of that tree, that is the timber zone. So, that place where beyond that the timber zone, the big trees do not grow, that is called as timber line. That is the extreme conditions where these plants cannot survive in that place. Fourth one, that is alpine zone of Himalayas, is characterized by sparseness of animal groups. So, if you take the alpine zone of Himalayas, you do not have much organisms living there, many organisms are not living there because it is very cold climate there, and many invertebrates of alpine zone are predatory and they occur in lakes, streams and ponds. So, where you see the organism, mostly they live in the lakes, streams and ponds. And sixth point, reptilian fauna is greatly improvised. Improvised means reptilian fauna means like crocodiles, snakes, all these lizards, they all come under the reptilian fauna. So, these are more increased in that place. In the alpine zone, you can see more number of crocodiles, snakes and other lizard varieties which we can see in the reptilian fauna of the alpine zone. And the seventh point is, the flora of alpines include alpine Phalasia, bear grass and Bristol cone pine and moss campion and polyps forest and pygmy bitterroot and wild potato. These are some of the plants which we can see in the alpines. Then question number 9, list out the characteristic features of tropical forest. So, what are the tropical features? We have to write about that. So, the first one is, they occur near the equator between latitudes of 23.50 at north and 23.50 at south. So, this is the latitudes where you can see the tropical forest region, that is in the between the equator and the north latitude, that is the north and south, you can see between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn and the equator. So, this is the region is called as the tropical forest region, and the major characteristics of the tropical forest are of distinct seasons. That means they have different seasons we have, that is only 2 seasons are present in that is rainy and dry season, and winter season is absent. Dry means summer. So, you have either rainy season or summer season, and winter season is completely absent, that means you do not feel much winter in that place. So, though it is a winter season, we say that is tropical region is our India lies in that tropical region. So, we do not feel much cold in that places. We are having, even it is a winter now, going to be winter season. So, we do not feel that much cold in that place because we are in the tropical region. And the length of the daylight is about 12 hours and varies a little. So, you will be having complete 12 hours of daylight in these places. The next point is, the average annual temperature is 200 degrees centigrade to 250 degrees centigrade, and the precipitation is evenly distributed throughout the year with annual rainfall exceeding 2000 mm. So, you will be having, that is rainfall is throughout the years, that is somewhere you will be having the rainfall happening on the south side, on the Arabian Sea side or on the Bay of Bengal side, you can see you will be having rains coming. So, that is the thing. And seventh point is, the soil is nutrient and poor and acidic, and it is, that is, it is not alkaline, it is acidic, and the decomposition is rapid, and soils are subject to heavy leaching. Leaching means the water will be taking out the most of the minerals from that place, that is called as the leaching. The ninth point is, tree cover is multi-layered and continuous, allowing little light penetration. So, since we have large trees, huge trees in that place, we have multi-layered layering will be there. That means the canopy is very broadly spreads. Canopy means the leaves, the branches which we see, that is called as canopy, that is widely spread, so that and it is thick because of lot of leaves it is having. So, what will happen, since it is of many layers, so the rainfall is not very fastly reaching the ground. So, it is very slowly it will reach the ground because it has to pass all the layers and come down. So, here and even water cannot reach there, and even light also is very less. So, the organisms which are at the ground, that is small plants or herbs which are there, they receive very less light when compared to the upper tree lights. Tree where you see there is no light coming falling under the forest ground. The 10th one is flora is highly diverse, that is there are nearly 100 different tree species per 1 square kilometer. So, if you take a 1 square kilometer area, you will be having hundreds of different species present in that place. So, that is why we call it as flora is highly diverse. And 11th point is trees are 25 to 35 meters tall and with buttressed trunks and shallow roots and mostly evergreen with large dark green leaves. That means buttress means they are widely sustainable, they are stable enough so that they can hold the large trunk. The trunks are so hard that they can hold many branches and leaves, and their roots are shallow, and mostly they are evergreen. That means evergreen means continuously, means autumn is a season where all leaves shut down and then new leaves come up. So, in this forest area you will be having evergreen plants, that means they will not shed all the leaves at a time, but at a one branch will be shedding the leaves and other branch will be getting new leaves. That means always you can see greenery in that place. So, that is why these are called as evergreen forests. Then 12th point is common vegetations are orchids and bromeliads, vines or lianas, and ferns and mosses and palms. So, these are some of the common vegetation you can see in those places, and they are characterized by birds, bats and small mammals and insects. So, these are 13 points. So, you can write any 10 points from this, so that you will get 5 marks. Then 10th question, list out the characteristic features of temperate forest. So, these forests occur in eastern North America, northeastern Asia and western and central Europe. So, we have well defined seasons with a distinct winter. So, here you will be having different seasons, and the winter is prominent here, and moderate climate and a growing season of 140 to 200 days during, and of which 4 to 6 frost free months. That means you have most of the climate is covered with snow, and rest of these months, that is 4 to 6 months only, you will not be having any snow falling there. So, that is why they have a moderate climate, and growing season means that is the place time where the plants germinate and they give rise to flowering, new flowerings, new leaves, everything will be coming in those 4 to 6 months, because rest of the time it is covered with the snow. So, at that time they will not give any flowering to that at that time. So, that is why they have distinctive temperate forest in that place. Fourth point, the precipitation, that is it is 750 to 1500 mm and it is distributed evenly throughout the year. The soil is fertile, enriched and decaying litter, and the canopy is moderately dense and allows light to penetrate, and resulting in well developed and richly diverse understory. Understory means the lower plants are more than the higher plants, and the vegetation and stratification of the animals is there. And seventh point is annual temperature varies from minus 30 degrees to 30 degrees. So, that is the temperature where you can see in this place. And eighth point is flora is characterized by 3 to 4 tree species per square kilometer. So, you will be having only 3 or 4 types of plants present in a square kilometer, and trees have broad leaves that can last for annually, such as oak, hickory, beech, hemlock, maple, basswood, cottonwood, elm, willow and spring flowering herbs are present. So, these are mostly herbs which you can see in this area. And fauna means animals which consist of squirrels, rabbits, skunks, birds, deer, mountain lion, bobcat, timber wolf, fox and black bear. So, these are some of the animals you can find in this place. Then 11th one, list out the characteristics of desert biomes. So, deserts cover about 1 feet of the earth's surface. So, and here rainfall is less than 500 mm per year, and rainfall is usually very low and are concentrated in short bursts between long rainless periods. So, sometimes only the rain will be falling in that places, and that raining also can be for some days or few hours. It cannot be for more than week or a month, it will not come. So, that is the thing. Then fourth point is evaporation rates regularly exceed rainfall rates. So, evaporation rates means rate of water becoming water vapor is more than the rainfall rate. So, there is more of evaporation rather than rainfall because there is no plants available in that place much. Then fifth point is soils are coarse structured and shallow, rocky or gravelly with good drainage and have no subsurface water. Subsurface means there will not be any water on the top of the place, like lakes, ponds are very rare in the desert climate. Only in some places you can see that is called as the oasis, where you can find water. That surface water is very rare in the desert climate. And sixth point is finer dust and sand particles are blown elsewhere and leaving heavier pieces behind. So, if you see, you can see many sand dunes in the area of desert where sand is taken away by the wind and it is deposited at some place. So, heavy particles will stay there, but the lighter particles will be carried away by the wind. So, that is, and you have sand mounds are common. Sand mounds or sand dunes, both are same. So, they are common in the desert regions. And eighth one is average annual temperature ranges from 20 to 25 degrees centigrade, and the maximum range is 43.5 to 49 degrees centigrade. That is, it is reaching nearly 50 degrees centigrade temperature. So, it is very hot in the climate it is having. So, that is the reason most of the plants cannot survive in that place. Only you can see the plants like cactus or the date palms. So, these are some of the plants which we can see in the desert areas. Next question is 12th question. What are the essential properties of water? Essential properties of water are: water is one of the main agents of pedogenesis, that is the soil formation, and it is the medium for several different ecosystems, and it is the present as moisture in the atmosphere and outer layers of the lithosphere, and is uneven in the distribution on the earth. So, it is not one place you have more water, one place you do not have water at all. So, that is called as the uneven distribution on the earth. The next point is water is heavier than air and it imparts greater buoyancy to the aquatic medium, and this enables the organisms to float at variable levels. So, based on the body weight, the organism will be floating at different levels. And water has high heat capacity and latent heat, and due to which it can withhold large amounts of heat, and water is physically unique because it is less dense as solid. It is more seen as water than as a liquid than as ice. So, that is why it is very less density it has. Hence, only the surface of water bodies will freeze, and while below the surface water will be in liquid form, and life is sustaining in that. So, if you take in the polar regions, so you can see on the top the surface is covered with ice, but at the below at a few inches of ice will be there, and below that you will be having water in a liquid state instead of frozen state. So, because since the water is in a liquid state at that place, sea animals which are there in that polar regions can survive in that place. The next point is when water freezes at 0 degree centigrade, it contracts, and the maximum density of liquid water occurs at 4 degrees centigrade. So, below that it expands markedly, and this enables the ice to float on the top of the water bodies. So, if you take the ice in the polar regions, so the glaciers and all, they float in the water of the seas. That is because the water freezes at 0 degree centigrade. So, when it is freezing, it will contract. The next point is water is considered as the universal solvent because it is the main medium by which the chemical constituents are transported from abiotic components to the living components of an ecosystem. So, the medium of abiotic components to enter into the biotic components is through water. So, that is it. I hope you have seen all the 5 marks questions now. We will continue in the next class with next lesson. Thank you.